Hey, Todd here, and welcome to another Acme Machining. Today what we're going to be working on is, I do a fair bit of shock work, fork and shock work on motorcycles. And I'm going to build a tool to take this locking clip off the bottom of the, so I can remove the springs, change the springs easy. And yeah, I've been doing it the hard way, I always need help doing it, so I'm going to rig up a tool that I'm going to be able to do it on my own. So come along, we're going to have some fun today. Okay, so what we're going to start out with is I've got a couple pieces of flat stock here, 5 by 6 inches, and these pieces are 9 inches long. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some collars for different size springs and shocks, but these here are just basically gonna set something like this. I don't center this, I offset it a little bit, because what that does is it gives me a lot more room to work in one area. Okay, so I'm going to bore a hole down here. That's going to take some different size collars that I'm going to make out of this. I'm hoping that that's still in frame. Yeah, it is good. And I've got some 3/4 inch threaded rod that I'm going to come down through. Excuse my arm. I'm going to come down through here, and I'm going to make a attachment for the shock. And that gives me some good pulling strength, because those springs are pretty heavy duty. So, but what I'm going to start with is I'm going to take these over to the mill. This is just saw cut, so I'm going to make sure that these are squared up. And then I'm going to start with drilling some holes, and we'll take it from there. So we'll see you over the mill. Okay, so I got this locked down in the vise, and just going to start it off, and I'm going to clean up this end, flip it over, and or I'll get the other one in there first, clean up one end on both of them, and then see which one's the shorter, and then we know where we got to go from there. So come over and touch off. Just going to take 15 off, see what it does. Okay, I'm going to take another, taking 3 out, and I'm going to come back, I'm going to climb mill it. It'll give us a much nicer finish. Conventional milling, you're bringing your chips back around and they get fed in. This way, once it's gone through, nothing's jamming your chips in and sort of forging it to the original piece. So, do your heavy cuts conventional, do your light cuts and fine milling, as long as your machine's rigid enough to handle it. Back in a moment. Okay, we got that one, that edge clean. So I'm just going to grab my brush some chips away. Set this one here. Bring the next one in. Seat her down, tighten her up. Excuse me. 0. Lock the table down and rinse and repeat, folks. I'll bring you back when I get through this one, and figure once I get this one done, I want to see if one's a millimeter shorter than the other or not. And then we'll square them up and start with the short one, get a length, and then we'll cut the other one to be the exact same length, and then we'll get into the drilling procedure. Be back in a moment. So I just did this side, nice and flat, and I'm looking, these here are pretty much the same height, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put them in the machine and see how much I got to take off. I don't think I'll have to take much off. I only took about 18-20 thou on the other one, so just going to rinse and repeat and get them to the same length and bring you back. I think I lost a little bit of footage there. I've got 3 sides done, and I've got this down within just a couple of thou of where I want to be. So I am at 6019, and I just want to bring it down to 6015. So just gonna wind this back and take one more little climb tap. Sorry for my arm. Now, I've got the camera set up on this side because, as you can see, the chips are flying that way. You don't want them flying towards you. You don't want them flying towards your camera. Even though you're wearing safety glasses, they don't want you wearing long sleeves when you're working in shops. Because if a sleeve ever grabs, you get injured. But those chips are hot. If they're catching you on the arm, you can get injured. So it's kind of darned if you do, darned if you don't type situation. But it's a little burn versus having that cutter dig into my skin. I'll take the little burns. But the main thing is, don't let the chips fly at you. That's the easiest thing. Okay, 6015. So we've got those done up good together, and just a little tool I picked up from KBC Tools. I want to show you over the bench, so it's a little deburring tool. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, so I've got a pretty good burr there. This is the pneumatic deburring tool. I picked it up at KBC. They're real good. You order stuff from them and bam, you got it in the mail. It's like almost instantaneously. And This here is a little bit loud because it's an air tool. So if you got headphones on, pull them off for a second, but I'll show you how it works. That's simple, folks. I hope I kept that in frame for you, but pick yourself up one, kbctools.com. Just a little trick. Taking tools out of your machine sometimes takes a number of hands, and of course, if you're like me, you only got two. So you grab hold of the brake, which is off screen, and you grab hold of your collet nut, and you loosen this off. What a lot of times happens is you loosen it off and your bit just slips out. So what I do is I make sure that I'm not too high off the table. You don't want them falling on your table. Number one, they damage the tools, they damage your tools, or damage the table. So what I do is I just take a piece of Scotch-Brite or a pad. Can you see that? No harm done. That tool went and it fell down, and it's not working up the material. It's not doing anything to the tool or the table or anything like that. Excuse my hand, I know it's in the way. And because if I just let that drop down there, it could damage my table, and these machines aren't cheap. I'd probably cry. But anyway, just a little tip. Put something under there. Catch your tools. So I'm just going to change this over to a drill truck, and I'll bring you back. So I'm just doing a real simple layout here. And I'm going with a 3/4 inch aluminum dowel. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill my holes. I'm not worried about being very, very accurate. Almost like metalworking, or woodworking rather than metalworking. So I just set, sorry about my arm, it's in the way, yep. Just set my tool at 1/2 inch. And I'm just using it to put some cross lines on there. Now, I said that this here was not going to be equal on the other side. Let's see if I can get my fat gut in here. I'm 5 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I'm going to go for the 2-inch spot. And again, just scribing a mark. I'll set my gauge here. Just 2 inches. And I just set them down there. So rather than going 2.5, if I go 2 inches, I leave a larger window on one side. This is going to be a smaller window, this is going to be a large window, this is going to be a small window. So I want some room to work with the spring seat in this tool. So I've got those marked. I am just going to put a countersink and a Sharpie. That out of your way. And I'm going to use 8mm hex key when I do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, and I'm just eyeballing this up by, just eyeballing it up. Okay, put a little tool maker's clamp over on this side. Yep, you guys can see it. Because when you tighten your vise, the jaw, this front jaw tends to rock because the tightening point is below the surface. So I left myself some clearance underneath here, as you can see, so I'm not drilling into my vise. But I put a tool maker's clamp on there just to hold the two of them together. So just going to start there, and we're going to drill down through with an 8mm hole. Don't need a pilot hole, don't need a starter bit. We're talking aluminum versus high-speed steel drill bit. You give yourself, if you peck the drill, it stops these things from getting those little rotating razor blades. You can shorten them a lot. See how long they can get? That can get dangerous. See the mess I made there? You don't want that. Even though it's just aluminum, it's an aluminum razor blade. Okay, so if you're doing a little bit of a pecking action, it works out a lot better, gives short chips. So just going to move over the other one. I'm going to make sure that I peck this one all the way through. I just wanted to see show you guys how long and stringy that gets. And I just clean the end of my bit off if it's got anything hanging there like it does. Okay, here we go. I am going to shift this arm just to get me in a better location. See how that pecking just get an inch long or so? And just do that to break the chip. Could use a clamp over on this side too, but I'll use my fingers here. No testing, we'll tighten her up again. And we're through. Turn my drill bit so I'm looking at the actual point. And I get it in that direction, or axes. And I turn it and do the same thing here. And that puts me in a good location. Here we go. And there are 6 holes because I did both plates at the same time. Now, one thing I am going to do is I'm going to mark these. You'll see why in a minute. It's important that I keep those arrows together because I am going to countersink for those 8mm. And one thing I didn't do, folks, and I'll do it right now, is we're at 5 inches, so I'll bring that back to 2.5. We need a center hole. So 2.5 by 3. Bring that down, lock the quill, makes it a whole lot easier. And I find my center there. Turn that 90 degrees. Find my center there. Not using the DRO, I'm not worried about being a 20 thou out or anything on this. So, okay, we're going to go down through the center, give us a center hole. Bit of WD-40. And we are through. Now, I am going to drill a 3/4 hole through the center of these. And I'm probably going to separate them first because I've got another process that I've got to go through. Now we'll continue here. We're doing good, everybody's having fun. And I'm just going to shove this in back gear for low, just because it's a bigger bit. Give it a little drink of the good stuff. we are. We've got the center hole through both of these. So, I'll change the setup just a little bit, because now we're going to be working with one plate at a time. So I can get rid of the tool maker's clamp here. Okay. I'm just going to change out my parallels, and I'll be back, folks. Now, before anybody hates the video, this here is for countersinking the head of the bolt in. It has a pilot on it, okay? That's why it's in a drill truck. This isn't considered an end mill in a drill truck. So, what I did here is I bring that, I've got it centered, I bring it down, and I'll bring you over here, just 1 second. I set my stop just the height of the head of the Allen key, okay? So that's a quick and easy way, because whoop, I'm zeroed out there on the table, and sorry I'm shaking around, I got your hand held here, so, but yeah, so that's how I set my depth stock. If I need to adjust the depth, once I get started in this, I'm going to put you back here so I can stop shaking you. I'll zoom you out here so you can see. Okay, so I got my depth stop set. If I need to adjust it all, it's going to be with the table height. So, I'm going to bring that down. There's my depth. Now, I'm a little bit proud, so what I can do is I'm just going to come up about 25 thou on the table here. I don't want to touch my quill stop, because I'm going to do 6 holes like this. So, another 25 thou. There we go. That has got me just proud of that, and I'm not having a problem with that. So, we're just going to move over and repeat. Bring that down close so I can see. And repeat. Same thing here, you pick that a little bit. And you can break them off. And there's the second one. Let it stop. And there we are, we're just proud. And we're proud of it. This is another tool I got from JBC. In Canada and the US, they are a good tool supplier. Get things to me real quick. If there's any problems, they correct it. So, okay. Remember the arrow? This arrow is pointing down. What I gotta do is I gotta make sure, because I offset this hole, I gotta make sure that I don't countersink from this side. I gotta countersink from this side. Well, that's why I put the arrows there. Not that I haven't made stupid mistakes before. It's just, I hate them every time I do. So. So I'm just going to get these 3 more and I'll bring you back. Okay, now I've got to make a big hole here. And it's going to be stepped, it's not going to be all the way through. But most of the ways it's going to be all the way through. I haven't figured out the actual measurements yet, I'm just doing this on the fly. I've got this centered up with my 3/4. I'll take the 3/4 out. And the biggest bit I have right here is 1 inch, so I'm going to bring that out to 1 inch and we'll change that over. I'm going to pull the chuck out because it's an empty Morse Taper 3 that my 1 inch chuck, or my 1 inch bit. So I'll bring you back because I got to bring the table down and everything else. Okay, I'm running this in back here because I'm slowing it down because it's a bigger drill. So, the vise is tight. And we got a 1 inch hole. And we're going to a huge hole. I might, actually I am going to. I'm going to go to a hole saw and start a nice slow cut with a hole saw. Otherwise I'm going to have a boring head on here forever. So I'll get it set up and bring you back. I might live to regret this. But we're just going to take it slow and steady. I'm going to use lots of WD-40 here. And we've got it down to 50 RPMs. And we're just going to take it nice and slow because we don't really have there's a center pollet there, but it ain't doing anything. But once we get a groove started, we don't need a center pollet. the biggest one I got until I get up 5-6 inches for doing dryer vents. But we are going to end up with like about a 3-inch hole in here, so. Slow and steady wins the race. I'll bring you back when I get through. A little trick here I'll share with you. See how the teeth get full of chips? It's not too bad right now, but take a cut and blow them out. That pulls all the chips away from the teeth so we can start fresh again. Wanted to share that with you. So we got through this here. We're able to chuck that over there with no big problems. And we got the boring head in now. And we're going to bore this out to 3-inch .150. And right now we are 2.7715, so we said 2 3/4. They were pretty close. So let me get the old boring. Sorry, I'm in your way again. Touching anything there, so we're going to add some to it. See if that gets us anywhere. I don't know how concentric this hole is. I don't want to put too much pressure on things. Once we get going, we'll be going good. The auto feed going. Cleaning up all around that hole. This is going to be a step hole. It's going to go right through at 3-inch .150, and then we're going to make a step in the top of this or the bottom of the tool, and we'll get there. So set that up a little higher so it snaps up. There we go. I'm not taking a whole lot out at a time. Just in aluminum, I'll go 50 and see how that treats us. backwards to me every time, isn't it? I grab a pair of pliers. We got away with 50 that time, we're going to take another 50. Something works, keep on doing it. Come on. Two 830, so. I'll bring you back when I get this here through bore up the sides. It's going to be a while. Don't need you guys going to sleep, but please hit the like and subscribe buttons, please. So now we're at our 3.150, and we're going to bore a step in here. And now I'm only going down far enough to hold the sizing keeper, okay? Because those springs hold a lot of weight. I don't know how many kilograms per millimeter or whatever they're measuring them at, but they hold a lot of weight. So I want as much strength as I want. So all I'm going to do is put a little step in. I'm probably only going to go down about 3/16 of an inch. I've set my stopper up there. I'm just doing 50 thou cuts, so I'm only going to show a couple of them, and I'll bring you back when I get to the final cuts. But here we go, folks. Sorry about the arm. Birds would love that stuff for building their nests right now. So you can see how far I just went down. Like I said, I'm not even measuring it. I just want the tool to set in when I engage the shock, so I've got a lot of purchase left. So turn this around, set this up for another 50. Slowly, surely, we'll get there. I'll bring you back when I get down to the final cut. Okay, this should be the final cut. I'm 1 thou under, but just 1 second. That is going to work. I got a piece chucked up over in the lathe. I just cleaned up the outside surface. I had that large piece of aluminum round stock, and I just cleaned up the outside of it, and it's over in the lathe, so I am just going to take you over the lathe and show you what I got going on over there. Okay, like I said, I just cleaned up the outside surface of that, and I'm going to make some different size rather than having a different plate for every different size shock. I will be able to just fit that in there, and then the shock is going to get pulled from over here. So that's going to be a part 2 though, because this is probably getting long-winded. So thanks for watching. Please comment, subscribe, hit that like button. Thank you very much. Have a great day.